I
Okay.
know. Yeah. I was toning it down,
Thank
whatever.
you.
Yes. So, okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you now. And as always, I'm just so thankful for this opportunity to come before the people, Father. I just thank you for all of the truth that is coming out, Father, that it will help us to navigate all of the things that are going on around us, and so that we can do what we need to do to turn away from all of the lies and the wickedness, so that you can heal our land, like in 2 Chronicles 7:14. Father, I thank you so much for Dr. Judy and all the work that she does to bring truth to the people, so that we can have healing not only in our minds but our bodies and souls as well, Father. And thank you for all that she's doing. May you continue to give her the strength, wisdom, courage and endurance to continue on this journey, Father. As we know, these are very trying times. This is a spiritual battle, and it's so important for us to turn to you, to give you thanks and all of the glory, Father, for all that is happening, because it's so important to do that, Father. May we just continue to turn away from all of the things that are binding us to this world, so that we can be free and know that this is not our home, but this is just a place that we are for a short period of time, Father, and that what we have to look forward to is so much better than this. But it's important that we walk this journey with you, Father, for it is a narrow path, but it is one that is worth going down. And there's so much joy to be had in that, Father. And so may you just guide us through this time that we have, and give us the information that the people need to hear. And may those that hear it, are watching, be those that need to hear it. In your precious name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
So, yes. Okay. So just a little bit about Dr. Judy, and for those that may not know, which I'm sure everybody does, but just in case, and it's always good to kind of share what you've been up to. Dr. Judy Mikovits earned a BA in chemistry from the University of Virginia in 1980, and a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology from George Washington University in 1992. In her 40-year quest to understand the cause, prevention, and treatment of chronic diseases, she has co-authored seminal papers, whatever. Oh my gosh, I can't read. Accumulating at least a decade of research in each of four fields: immunology, natural products, chemistry, epigenetics, and HIV/AIDS drug development. In 2009, Dr. Judy Mikovits led the team that first isolated and characterized a new family of human diseases associated retroviruses, XMRVs. Sorry. Dr. Judy has co-authored more than 50 peer-reviewed publications and book chapters, and holds a patent for combination therapy for prostate cancer using botanical compositions and Casedex. Dr. Judy is a New York Times bestselling author of the book Plague of Corruption, Ending Plague, and the Truth About the Masks. Her heart and passion is botanical drug development and personalized nutritional therapeutic solutions. Her focus is education about the human endocannabinoid system and curative strategies for vaccine AIDS. Goodness.
Well, and that's what we got
I
since
know.
1986. Vaccine AIDS, the
Go into
chronic
that.
disease explosion. That's what Bobby Kennedy is committed his whole life to stop the poisoning of our entire environment, of our air, big tech, big ag, and pharma. This is so much more than just anti vaxxers. This is anti God, what they're
Yes.
doing. And they're murdering Christians and people of faith, whether it be the Nation of Islam or here in the United States of America, or any other religious group, has the sovereign right to believe and practice their faith and not be forced to eat food. Remember the book of Daniel. We're the best and the brightest, and we won't eat your food. Uh-uh. And
Right.
God wins.
Exactly. When I think that we've been somewhat, just indoctrinated and forced to believe that all the things that they provide to us are good for us, that it's going to help us, that, there's no problems with it. There's nothing that they're doing that's nefarious. But when you can pull that veil down and see exactly what's going on, that's why we have to turn away from it. That's why, I didn't used to understand why it was so important to pray for food. I thought it's just something you kind of do. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, please heal this, because if there is something toxic in it, I know that he can, protect us, but it's also our duty to do what we can to turn away from these things that we have been provided, and know that it may be a little bit more difficult per se, but in reality, it's so much better for us spiritually, physically, and mentally.
Yeah, well, and it's not just better for us, it's against God to
Yes.
eat genetically modified organisms. So your tomato has been vaccinated, your cauliflower has been vaccinated, your cows, your pigs, you have vaccinated and poisoned your chicken eggs, as every egg in the grocery store is dipped in chlorine, and that's every grocery store. You've got to get them from the farm. Oh, and then the chickens that get Purina feed. I think of my friend, this sweet, wonderful Ed Dowd. His book is called Cause Unknown. Of the fact that more millennials, that is, people the age of 25 to 44, were killed since 2020 and 2021 and 2, really, when the vaccines came out in December of 2020 till 2022. More millennials were killed than the entire Vietnam War. And that was on. Who's that on? Biden. Oh, the Biden, because that's not what Trump did to you. And that's chapter 11 of our book, Plague of Corruption, upon which Mickey Willis's brilliant pandemic movie was based. And I didn't say XMRV when I talked to Mickey Willis in 2019. Well, I said it a lot, but he didn't understand a word I said. He
Right.
didn't care about the jailing. He didn't care about my J6 kidnapping and being held in the suicide watch in the Ventura County Jail when I was kidnapped. Not only was I not arrested, look at Plandemic Indoctrination that came out August 18th, 2020. So when you look at the books and the movies and the education on our website, that's what I am. I'm an educator, a PhD. You never put a doctor in front of my name. That's an insult to me, but I left it there. I was
Right.
going to change it, but I was late because it's Judy A. Mikovits, PhD.
Right.
Because a PhD is a teacher of a very specific philosophy of healing. You practice medicine, you
Right.
practice sport, you practice art, you practice self discipline. Practice because practice makes perfect. And the only one that was perfect was Jesus. So you have to practice these disciplines. But I'm saying this in this way so that people understood that it's nobody's fault but your own.
That's right.
Nobody's fault but your own. What are you reading? Do you practice the 10 commandments every single day of your life? And I should say every single minute of the hour and
Right.
every single hour of the day? Do you look at every decision you make in your life and just ask Jesus not only about the food you eat, but you don't eat that food and say, Jesus, forgive me because I'm eating GMO and I know genetically modified is against God. And you don't say eliminate the poisons because I'm just too lazy to stop my lifestyle. I'm too lazy to get rid of that microwave and cook food for my children. I want a quick fix or a drive through. And, but this is what we learn, our language. And,
Yes.
and who David Martin in Plandemic Indoctrination is. So I watched that on Saturday as I practiced the Sabbath rest from sundown Friday until sundown Saturday. So late in the afternoon, I'm with a friend who we worked during the week, but I said, come on over. And he says, I got a beautiful bottle of wine. I said, perfect. I just bought some great food at the farmer's market. Let's have, and we put together some beautiful cheeses, not processed, real food, a little bit of nice, whatever we had. I think it was like a Thai, Chinese dumpling. And it was
Ooh.
all homemade from the farmer's market. So we put these things together, and then we watched the movie and we talked about it. And of course I've seen it dozens of times, and I'm, we were blessed. I was blessed by David Martin and Mickey Willis in this whole story. And it's very interesting in the Bobby Kennedy story. So the reason why all those things you just read, we could unpack, and we could see the Jesus in every single bit of it. Because of course I forgot, since and then so the Sabbath rest Friday night, I took another friend, I went with another friend to a restaurant and listened to music, and and had some nice, again, beautiful food, some Thai chili shrimp, and some beautiful terpene IPAs, local, right here from Ventura Coast Brewery, which is my last and first stop on in my farmers market Saturday morning. That's my joy. I go out and I buy organic wine from here, and bee pollen from my friends in at Wendy, from my friend Wendy at Blue Ridge Honey. Our local bees do the work of putting A, D, K, and E in the flavor in the buckwheat. That's your best natural anti-allergy anything, is according to nature what your food, and that's your bees and your soil and your plant. And then the egg guy wasn't there this week, but I already had a dozen, so I just hard boiled them. But when I would normally take my Cardio Miracle, which is powdered clean food from all the rest of the fruits and vegetables that are loaded with glyphosate and nobody can possibly get, and you don't do it in a handful of pills. I do not take pills. I never take pills. It's living mineral water. Our water is poison, and
Yes.
synthetic as well. So is our soil. So it's really fun in the Sabbath rest. And then watching that, it's somewhat traumatizing, but you're not so traumatizing. And after that, I watched The Chosen, and I was
Mm.
actually watching where Jesus, and it's getting pretty tough. And somebody says, but I watched that after sunset, because that's when my rest is over and I got to go to work. So I watched it, and then I went to bed and let God go to work. As I prayed in my dreams, I was still and listened to the answer of Jesus. Then Sunday morning, my first fruits go to God and my family. We cook all that wonderful food, and we take all that beautiful, healing, healthy drink, and we serve our friends, and we invite everybody over. We go listen to music at brunch and serve. We went to Mrs. Olson's Coffee Hut, the Brave, the businesses representing American values and enterprises that saved Ventura County. And then we put on the full armor of God to face what I call FU Monday. That would be follow up. Follow up Monday. You're following up everything from last week. And that takes, that you got to get that the first of the week, because by Wednesday I'm usually having a lot of trouble doing commandment 3, which
Right.
is don't take your Lord's name in vain. That's so, meaning don't say go Fauci yourself, which Judy is really good at. And so it's when we practice a discipline, then
Yes.
we see the joy everywhere.
Oh my
and
gosh.
then and then that what comes out of your heart comes out of your mouth. And what did we see? Bobby Kennedy, he said in his speech, he prayed every day for years how to serve. He promised his volunteers he wouldn't use those 1 second. It wouldn't be about him when he couldn't win, or God told him that's not the right way. Beast, that's what Pastor Rob always tells me. And George Washington. First, I'm from George Washington University. My PhD, my philosophy is that George Washington. I'm from University, Virginia. Don't denigrate Charlottesville, but watch when they say these things at the convention. And everybody's like, oh no, don't you say that. No, no, you've got to watch them and catch them in their words. Who is David Martin? a linguistics expert in medical words, pulling out the functional forgeries, how AI can never replicate God. So that patent on prostate cancer from 2011, botanicals. We took plants. I'll let you put it in the show notes. I'll email it or text it to you if you provide it. And that's what we do in our classes, our book club on Wednesday night. It's a book club. You don't have to show up, but come see us on X-Space. Why did I play Bobby Kennedy's Forward to Plague of Corruption and chapter 11 called The Way Forward and chapter 12 of Plague of Corruption? One last story I should tell you, and I laugh about it, but God's going to kill me if I say any ego. I mean, Satan's going to, I can't laugh. We can't laugh. I can have tears of joy, but they will try to find a way. We have all the taxpayer paid for, all of it, diagnostics and cures, botanicals that are FDA approved. You use Casodex, it's a drug for prostate cancer. What did the criminal FDA do to the criminal Monsanto, Bayer Monsanto, in 2019? They approved a drug, and I'll think of the name of it, for prostate cancer, which was like their little Paxlovid game. Oh, you mean ivermectin with poisonous fluoride? And every drug on that TV is criminal, adding synthetics, GMOing, because you can't patent God. And we've got the patent because we thought about it, because God blessed us. And that means the Bayh-Dole Act is critically important. You can't sell the taxpayers. You can't price fix the drugs. And Kamala and Biden will do nothing to change the prices, because that drug is called Nubeqa. And just look up Nubeqa. It's Neubecqa or something like Nubeqa. You'll find it. And it was approved in 2019. And it's a fraudulent patent fraud, what David Martin described, functional forgery of Judy Mikovits. Genius Biomed is the company I consulted for. They own it. And the diagnostic, I own the PCR patent for all XMRVs. What is X? Ooh, a little disease X. What is the M? It's capital. It's manufactured. It's not of God. It's GMO. And the X means xeno. Yes, I'm a xenophobe. You put nothing in the blood of Christ.
Right.
No, you cannot force a Christian to inject a toxin in their child, or a Jehovah's Witness who think they've been going to their religion. Oh, because the CDC lied to you? I'll also post the CDC excipient list from my work in vaccine court. So you see, it's all in Plague of Corruption. And the last chapter says, Frank Rossetti and Judy Mikovits and David Nolde, my David, we paid the ultimate price for the love of our neighbor, and that would be every American. And I said American, African Americans. That's not a black person from Jamaica and India. You go 4 generations back to even further. When was our country? 1776. We're the stakeholders. Dr. Sheila Lewis Ely, vaxxed. Oh, her husband, the Honorable Coast Guard Lieutenant Sergeant, the true hero, Ronnie Ely. And on her birthday in 2000, so Burks and Redfield injected in the 90s in 2000, hepatitis B shots, which was HIV. and HIV vaccines into the military, including Ronnie Ely. So when on Sheila Ely's birthday, with her beautiful temple, beautiful boy, and beautiful, accomplished identical twin sister, when they gave him 2 doses of MMR, on her birthday in 2000. They destroyed her life forever. And they knew in 1999, when I led the lab of antiviral drug mechanism and took that technologies to Epigenics Pharmaceuticals under a small business grant. When I moved there May 14th of my first day at work, 2001, I married my David October 7th, 2000. And yeah, it's like, let's see, Fort Detrick and the cult called scientism and the army and bioresearch, or Ventura, California, and a man who loved according to Jesus. And we had so much fun. But he paid the ultimate price. He was murdered. And the autopsy we got from Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s call. I was in the hospital saying, Bobby, can you please call my lawyer? I texted him, said, Bobby, can you please call my lawyer? David died and I'm not leaving this room. I've had full custody of that body for the entire time since I got back to the hospital, loved him into that hospital, thanks to his lance. This is, and you could see in the sermon of Pastor Rob McCoy at godspeak.com from Super Bowl Sunday, I believe it was February 11, 2024. He talks about my David. Well, in 2023, on July 11th, he had a conversation with the head of public health, then the head of public health of Ventura, California. And it went something like, you have no idea who Judy Mikovits is, do you? And what this science paper says. Because I won't ever embarrass them, but they can't read a science paper. Neither can Peter McCullough, and neither can Robert Malone, and neither can any of these people who somehow are your heroes. Stephanie Seneff, real scientist, a PhD. In 1980, if you didn't have a PhD on a paper, an MD couldn't publish a paper. Tony Fauci said, I'm going to get me one of them PhDs and discover something. Yeah, these are whores. And it's a cult called scientism. And Medicare is paying for Nubeqa, and it's poison. And do you know what they're paying per dose? $13,000 a month. And do you know what they pay for the AIDS drugs? That every HIV positive person, citizen or not in this country, because of Gallo and Fauci's fraud and the heroism of the godly man who was also murdered, Professor Luc Montagnier. I encourage your audience, watch Pandemic Indoctrination again, and you're gonna see God. Bobby right there. And Bobby wrote, I called 5 minutes later. I stayed in that hospital till I could reach. My David's one of his best friend was his mortician. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And I cry. And I cried when I saw the autopsy, only because it was like, oh my God, that man was healthier when he died than when I met him. We have absolute proof. They suffocated, starved, and denied water and forced 100% oxygen in an 83-year-old man's lungs with a BiPAP machine, because I wouldn't let them intubate him. They got no remdesivir in him. They killed him into his lungs. He had COPD for 40 years. COPD is not cigarette smoking, it's not emphysema, and it's not asthma. And every one of those drugs that calls all three of them COPD, that says Trelegy. Oh, I put all three drugs in one thing. I'll make sure I kill you as quickly as possible. Those TVs are criminal fraud. Bobby Kennedy, FTC, Federal Trade Commission. We need him as Attorney General. We need him. And I said it on Clay Clark next week, and I've said it for years. And I think, because what was the way forward? When Roger Stone told me on March 22nd, 2019, Roger Stone, who went to jail, Roger Stone, who, thanks to folks at the Truth About Cancer and worldwide, all of us who fight, his wife's fine, and she had a deadly lung cancer diagnosis. Boom! Kirk
Right.
Gibson, we can heal you, but only if you turn back to God. Yes, we are healers. Cherokees are healers. Indians plant medicine. We know, and we have the technologies, as Bernadette Healy said on the High Wire in that clip from 2007, and it's not in pandemic, or Bernice Eddy also in Bobby Kennedy's Forward. So I played those two chapters and the last chapter. Maybe there's one last story I should tell you. And that is, we saved everything, folks, for you Americans. Trump has them and Bobby has them. The reagents, the cures, the monoclonal antibodies, the PCRs with proof. We can get the variant du jour. We don't care what it is. And all you need to do is never take another shot. Not, and don't shoot yourself with Ozempic. It's snake venom. Don't take any of their pills. Don't go in a grocery store with a pharmacy in it. That's against God. If you go in your fight that the FDA, and I say Stephanie Seneff, head of FDA, I hope she doesn't kill me, but at least I'll do anything I can. She's a good woman. All she has to do is it's the toxic legacy of glyphosate. Well, at therealdrjudy.com in the shop, sure, you'll see some supplements that work, that are foundational, like Cardio Miracle, Living Water. You don't have to go out and figure it all out, which plants are contaminated, which soil is contaminated. Get a freeze dried powder that is clean of all the heavy metals and all the glyphosate. You don't have to worry about the chemtrails. You don't have to worry about the chemtrails. Well, we had to put the books in that Get Healthy store because in July of 2022, and the reason I say these dates is because Rob McCoy didn't get the confession from Dr. Levin and the head of St. John's Hospital of that little mistake they made. Well, they made a little mistake. They humbled themselves and they admitted they didn't know. And they admitted they had no idea that Fauci and Newscum, notice they called him Newscum? Because Fauci and Newscum knew in a vendetta they were going to murder David Nolde. And David Nolde knew it when he ran out of jail. So David Nolde used the last breath of his life to say, of course I made a copy. What do you think? I'm an idiot? He's the personnel director from hell, and boy, was he good. He got Columbines before there was a Columbine. See people, talk to people, know sense, no evil, talk to people, talk them off the ledge. Everybody's a monkey with a hand grenade. Talk them off the ledge. And these are the terms we use. Clinically interesting. And all I need to know is, okay, David, I hear you. Watch that guy. And then so you could see the clinically interesting and say monkey with a hand grenade, and we'll all know what you mean. So
Right.
Bobby is a hero because he humbled himself. And, we've seen some of these tweets, and I struggle with Bobby, and he struggles with me, because, and when I start screaming, like I did it with General Flynn and Trump, and they love me too in the Clay Clark events. But 2 Wednesdays ago, I was on fire, and General Flynn just laughed and let me go because it's like, it's killing me to watch this hospital homicide. And everybody's like, oh, it's remdesivir. No, it's not remdesivir. It's not remdesivir. It's Paxlovid now. And they made it sound like Paximune, which was never FDA approved, or Ampligen, which is a true nasal, type 1 interferon stimulator, poly-IC stabilized. Oh, IC in mRNA. What do you think we can do? Do you think I can microsomally formulate? Thank you, Ed Group. I can't do it. He can. And global healing. Do you think we've got godly people at Healing for the Ages, Brian Artis, Ed Group, Henry Ely, and the beautiful Dr. Jana Schmidt with bee pollen, the expert on bee. Do you think we can heal all of this? Education. Education. And they did this in Dallas last year. So the pieces were falling in. We had to be quiet. So after the assassination attempt, God got through to Trump. You don't have to tell him twice, and nobody even cares. And he did to me too, because the scientist at sea, the first chapter after Bobby's beautiful forward actually happened November 9th, 2011. What day was that? It was a Wednesday, and it was a full moon in the Channel Islands harbor in where we had a boat dock home at 2031 Jamestown Way. And all you have to do is look at the seawall and the think. We were surrounded by those guys who 10 days, 9 days before they kidnapped me with a fake cop at the door. The first chapter of the book and Plague was published November 16th, 2014. And if I can let you talk a minute, and I'll go grab a newspaper article that the Ventura County Star proved that they murdered David Nolden. And so Rob McCoy saw this, but he, as true to his sermon, he just sat down and had a conversation. And that man, Bobby Kennedy, was on that stage in February 2021. Every one of us, every member, August 5th of 2023, we did Mickey Willis and the Great Awakening. We did I call it the Heroes of the Faith Tour. And Rob McCoy put Riza Islam of the Nation of Islam, fabulous young man, beautiful man. He put G. Edward Griffin, 90 years old, cured everything, just Jekyll Island, creature of a day, me, and then Mickey Willis right in the front. And he didn't have a good couple of weeks, and he particularly didn't have a good birthday last year, which was close to that date. And it's like, what did you think was going to happen, Rob? Did you think you weren't going to get but I love you, honey. Thank you for doing that. And they try again to bankrupt us. But when we go to these events and we talk like you do with the eye of the storm, what's key about the eye of the storm? It's stillness. Be still and watch God. Be still. Watch. First, make sure it's of God. Then do it with all your strength, is what George Washington. So I keep that on our website. You'll see where I'm getting baptized December 2nd of 2023, because I was having a little trouble with my personal Ebola outbreak, and my skin was peeling off. And I said to Pastor Rob, I said, Rob, maybe I shouldn't do it tomorrow, because we don't want you to get blamed for spreading Ebola through Ventura. So I said, so I'll come to the last sermon at the last, if you want. And he said, no, come at 11. That's the family time, and I've got everybody there. And he said, so he goes on, and in the first sermon, I always go to the first sermon. That way I can focus in the second sermon and on just praying and watching, and because I always watch. And I always take extensive notes. That's what they had to get. My notebooks weren't notebooks. They were journals. They were prayer journals. The only one that survived was Mickey Mouse with a heart on it in the front. And it was 1997 and 1998. And it proves every bit of this all the way back. Do you know how much of our world we get back? Just all still. And all you have to do, every Democrat in my ear voice, write in Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on a Democratic ballot. Kamala was never nominated for anything, and not a single vote. Yeah, but don't bitch about it. Do something about it. Sorry. Don't be
You're good.
don't biatch. No, I got to do this.
I know, yeah.
I've got to practice. Don't biatch about it. Get up and walk one person at a time. Go to those voter booths. If you love Trump, vote Republican. If you're a Democrat and you can't stand that Bobby Kennedy's a traitor and he went independent, because he will stay on those ballots that aren't swing states, then vote independent for Bobby. But if you are a Democrat, write in on every Democratic ballot in this country, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Then we're going to find the illegal aliens. Then we're going to find the I call it prostitutes. The people who are being paid to go destroy this country. And I guarantee you there's no vindication here, because all Bobby has to do is exactly what he said. Trump puts him in there as Attorney General. Every single person gets their sovereignty back, no matter what religion, philosophy. A post-hole digger, PhD, is a philosophy. We pile it higher and deeper. It really doesn't matter what the little acronym you use about it is. But until you know who I am, and you read it in that biography, University of Virginia. Why do these people keep saying Charlottesville? Because that was the first fraudulent crime against our country. Nothing happened at Charlottesville other than the same thing that happened at J6. There was no insurrection. That was a BLM attack.
Right.
That was a BLM attack on Charlottesville. Who was in that movie? Who? David Martin. He's in Charlottesville. Who am I? Why did I put this on today when I didn't even remember we had this call? I don't have a Wahoo hat close by or I put one on. And so I didn't know why I got dressed this way. I just knew it wasn't radio this time and I couldn't be in pajamas.
I know.
Well, see, if you want to unpack that a little bit, I'll get off screen a minute and grab that newspaper article and show you, because when people see this and then they go to our website, and more importantly, X Spaces. Oh, I don't do Twitter. Stop it. You're hurting yourself.
Right.
They're censoring everything. If you do Google, if you don't do Twitter, do nothing at all. Don't do the satanic Facebook. Why are you shopping your family to the criminals coming across the border? You shopped your kids to the pedophiles. Yeah. You shopped your grandmother and your grandparents to the people that wanted to kidnap and kill them. You shopped the old people. You poisoned them with Medicare. You're prescribing Nubeca instead of the botanical Anustat with Casodex that should have been approved a decade ago, because we showed that if we use that platform technology of the Omnitura Genius, we could cure Ebola. Yeah, because it's plants. That's what I do. That's what Thomas Jefferson did. Plants, grow, farm, botanicals. He was quite the nature. And then the other thing was, that didn't mean they didn't get sick, but again, sanitation. Suzanne Humphreys, the book on our website, the books on our website. In July of 2022, I went to the Frederick, Maryland Library, where I spent June 10th, 1980 to May 11th, 2001, when Frederick was a one-horse town and the only thing that was there was Fort Detrick. As a fermentation chemist, I make beer, I make coffee, I make wine, I make kombucha, you name it, I make it. But I make it, and you need alcohol, and you need sugar in order to ferment, and your food has to be living food like kimchi, and that's natural products chemistry. Yes, we can take willow bark and make aspirin. So, but why would we if we can just make the formulation that's worked for thousands of years? No, you don't go away from drugs. You go away from RX, prescription. That's the crime. That's the MDs. The medical doctors are the satanic ones until they turn back to God and stop poisoning people. And that would include the pharmacists and the naturopaths, because the naturopaths, now that you call it nutraceutical, it's not. And a pill and a supplement is loaded with the same fillers that the injections are. So
Right.
everybody thinks they can get a quick fix and they can start popping pills. That's not how God made us. Or that they can look at labels and figure out what's true. Well, every single label is FDA, is against federal law that the FDA makes. And I've shown that to Bobby, and I've shown that to the Trump team, and we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went, and they can take down the FDA. Boom, done. Not that we don't need FDA. We need an honest person at the head of it. Stephanie Seneff, EPA, Dr. David Lewis, Science for Sale, both of those books, the Toxic Legacy of Glyphosate, and the EPA, Science for Sale, Dr. David Lewis, LEW. Oh, where was he? Emory University in Atlanta. Read his story and you'll understand. The book is called Science for Sale, and it was about 2014. If not, I go to the library in Frederick, Maryland, and my friend didn't want to park there because she was honest and get 2 hours off her parking if she walked into the library. So she said, Judy, I'm embarrassed to walk in the library. And I said, that's okay. Why don't we just, here, I'll help. And I went up to the front desk and they said, hey, where you been? We haven't seen you in the longest time. And I'm like, well, I got married. And they said, what have you been doing? And I said, writing books. And they said, oh, really? And I said, yeah, I'd love to find one in the library. And they weren't there. Not only, and she's like, she's scratching her head, and she said, let me tell you something else. And or let me look at something else. I said, how about Robert F. Kennedy, the real Anthony Fauci? How about Eric Metaxas, Bonhoeffer? How about Eric Metaxas, Atheism is Dead? How about, and I just had Stephanie Seneff, The Toxic Legacy of Glyphosate. And I went down, G. Edward Griffin, Jekyll Island, and she was like, by then she's catching on, because I was loved there because I was funny Dr. Judy. And if you listen, I mean, I wasn't doctor for most of the time I was there because I didn't want to join a club of the corrupt, but I had to. I had to because they were killing my stepfather in 1983. Oh, with Lupron, the same thing they're paying. Medicare is paying for Lupron. The same thing that killed my stepfather. Oh, from the drug, from the treatment, because XMRV isn't always was. Xeno, what's the capital M? Don't call it monkeypox, folks, because little messenger RNA in your plants, in your animals, in your soil. That's God. And only
Right.
God knows how to put it together to make that tree behind me look like that and grow right there. Or to
That's right.
make what I am, an identical twin. In
Yeah.
vitro fertilization, and nothing will never and never has gotten you identical twin. So why did they say all of this stuff in their campaign about reproductive rights? You don't have a right to murder your unborn child. Ooh, no, you don't.
Mm-mm.
And why did I get baptized? November 26th of 2023. Ah, because when I made a vow to marry David, Noldy is his name. When I made a vow to marry him, I said, you don't want to have any more kids, do you? And he said, only if you do. And I practiced birth control. And that's against God. So do I have to humble myself and realize, oops, that my husband made a vow when he ransomed me out of jail? And he kept it till the last breath of his life because he was going to get killed. But they'd already murdered his daughter in law in August 18th. That's why I didn't want to talk last week. It was last Sunday. And her birthday would have been yesterday. So I'm over it. Meaning, at least I prayed that one through, and the
Yeah.
joy of who she was to this family and him too. Anyway, so when you get to really understanding and you sit with that, the Bible's iPad sitting on the Founders Bible. So unless we know the Founders Bible and follow God Speak Church's plan and sermons every Sunday, no matter what, and you'll know exactly where we are now. Get the app, put yourself, learn the 10 Commandments, practice them, and vote for Bobby in any way, shape, or form, either as independent or write in, you know. And if you want Kamala, write her in because she didn't get the nomination. So don't be fooled. And why do I say that to everybody in my earshot? Because what the Founders Bible shows you is constitutional. So we aren't only going to get back to 1968, we're going to get back to 1876. Then we'll truly get reparation to our people according to God. So when you know your history, you know that you'll know it. And we don't know. That's why they've ripped down our founding fathers. That's why they took this all down, because they weren't racist. Read the book. And they know that the thing that stopped us from truly having freedom was religion. And I did not say God. You know, we're one nation under God, not one nation under Catholicism, Baptism, whatever Baptist. I can't even do Presbyterianism, Protestantism, Islam. And we're not any of that. We're one nation under God. Read the words. Words matter. And as David Martin showed us, letters matter. And see, don't say long COVID. That's stupid. What does that mean? Oh, long COVID, long COVID. You have any idea what you're talking about? Well, COVID. Well, what's COVID? Oh, well, it was caused by SARS-CoV-2. What? No, it wasn't. SARS-CoV-2 was injected in every single polio vaccine since they made it in 2004. What was the problem? Well, it wasn't a coronavirus. It was a retrovirus, part HIV, the part that put back Lyme disease, the little G protein, a 32 base pair in the sequence of that strain that they injected in hepatitis B shots over the years. They always, Magic Johnson did not get infected. Nothing travels. And when you see secondary transmission, it only gets your families, it only gets your communities, because it's hard to do through the air. It's not impossible, but it's hard. And that's what our science paper showed you. Could it happen? Yep. 2009, August 29th, 2009. I was sitting in San Diego airport after Derek and Shannon's wedding, August 22nd. And the editor, the criminal Paula Kabirstis. Oh yeah, you're a criminal because you took that data out of that data editor of that journal, and you're going to be charged with murder at the very least. And so will everybody else. What did you know and when did you know it? Science. Oh, and the other one down there where you are, Cohen. Who is Cohen? Oh, John Cohen. Oh, he's the Science Inside writer that told you when Judy Mikovits was drugged through that jail in Ventura, kidnapped November 18th, 2011. I escaped on November 9th, 2011, because when God sends you a lifeboat called Jonah the Whaler, I named it, by the way, when we got married. In addition, but that's the blasphemy. God didn't laugh. He knew who Judy was. He knew when he formed the universe who David Noldy was. I call him a harlequin. That was our favorite strain. That's always been our favorite strain of cannabis. It goes both ways. He's a harlequin. Anyway, the heroes of the faith. Who was Rahab in the Bible? What do we have to do right now? Thomas Jefferson, the John Meacham book called The Art of Power. What's the art of power?
No.
Your voice? There's no such thing as intellectual property. I could not, Judy Mikovits could not possibly, number one, have signed a contract because my name was Noldy. I never signed a contract, ever. Sorry. But when they sent me out of jail, we had to say Mikovits. And I was Mikovits and Rossetti Consulting in Carlsbad, California. So we always had our company down there and we always had the thing up there. But the person who signed all the contracts was always Judy Mikovits Nolde. I just signed it Judy A.M. Nolde. Here I am, Lord. Judy I am Nolde, if you want the why. If you
Right.
want the why to be, here I am, Lord. That was the believer summit. Here I am, Lord. When is he going to use you? In the last 3 or 4 of Pastor Rob McCoy's sermon. So I know we only have an hour today or a little around that. But what I'm showing people is how to strengthen your mind. Because your mind is the fear porn. Don't watch that stuff and don't send me that stuff. I
Right.
don't say that in an angry way. Do send me that stuff because I need to see what you're looking at so I can do this better next time we talk on the eye of the storm.
Yes. No, I love it. Well, I think it's important for people to know that all of these things come forward from us injecting ourselves continually year after year because, I mean, we've just been indoctrinated to believe that they're going to make you healthy when in reality it's their way of bringing forward all of these diseases that they want to inflict upon the people
And you've
to kill us.
injected the infection, but most
Right.
important from that conversation with the librarian, that sweet librarian said, Judy, let me look at something. And she said, oh my God, not one of those books is in the state of Maryland. And then go look at what happened in the state of Maryland. Oh, a little boat, a barge hit a little bridge. You see
Right.
it. We're on to them, and they know we're on to them. So the point is, and I said it to Robert Malone, and that's how we caught Robert Malone. You notice the Bregans don't have any lawsuits. Notice, because what is a lawsuit? It's against God. That's First Corinthians. That's the sermon from yesterday. Listen to the letter to the Corinthians from Paul, Pastor Craig at godspeak.com. You'll see it today, but that's how we practice. First thing of the day, 9 o'clock service, and I take heavy notes. And the rest of the week, I follow up. What were the lessons I learned this week? And how do I fine tune my game, the refining fire, hopefully without suffering too much because it hurts when you hit your head. But see, this is the thing. And when people laugh at me because they're like, Judy, you talk in circles. No, they don't know the language because not one doctor. It's not any of your young doctors' fault, but the old doctors saw it when our paper came out in 2009. So the censorship is the issue. How do we expect our doctors to know? How do we expect anybody to know that the FDA hasn't approved a single drug according to law
Right.
in a decade since my paper came out? And that every shot since 2009, that paper published October 8th, 2009, online. And it was the shot heard around the world. And if you follow those books, they're not how to fix it, folks. I'm never going to get you. Judy, just give me a protocol. And I usually throw this Founder's Bible across the room. It's heavy and it's right there. Read it. I can't give you a protocol because I had to know who's my daddy and who's
Right.
my mom and what's my lineage. And that goes back 4 generations. Twinning is in the Cherokees. We're the strongest people anywhere because our X chromosome. What's the 2 things you inherit from your mother?
Your mitochondrial DNA
Yes,
and the chromosome. I'm not sure.
X chromosome.
Right.
Why are they trying to call this disease X, folks?
Right. Because
Because
that's what they're attacking.
and they couldn't get it. They couldn't do it. You can't beat me. You injected everything in me and everything in my identical twin because she's in the Air Force, and her 3 beautiful athlete boys got the worst of it 92, 94, 96, and athletes over and over and over again by doctors who inject things and they don't even know what's in it. and they say safe and effective, and they won't even go read the CDC lawsuit or read
Right.
everything I can and Aaron Seary and Jeffrey Jackson, and that's the Informed Consent Action Network.org. Read all of the wins. Read what they're doing in California schools with CARE. It's not CARE. Kamala doesn't care about any human. Kamala cares about murdering the Hispanics and the Native Americans of this continent. Of this continent. And that would be the little brown and black kids, African American, Sheila Ely. That's why I started there. That's why I started there. Oh, you knew, and I'm angry. That was my friend. And she died way too soon, according to my heart. But God knew that Sheila Ely was going to change the world. And we see it. And we're not going to stop. We don't have hatred of African Americans. I did that work in 1999. We have all the cures, and they're all in the freezer. One more last story I should tell you is we
Yes.
weren't cowards like William Thompson. We knew it was a crime to cover it up and throw it away. It was federally funded data. We didn't throw it away, and we didn't leave it there either. We didn't leave a sinking ship and run. Frank Rossetti took every bit with it. They gave that man 2 years too long, and God has a sense of humor. But they killed Luc Montagnier. They killed Joe Oppenheim. They killed Jim Dow, the CEO, when he was one of the first in 2021. Yeah, they killed many, many innocent people who could have been cured, as we all know now. Hospital homicide and CC and Nurse Nicole. We have the advocates in place with things like Grave Care. We have the beautiful Richard Bartlett. Go watch The Great Awakening again. Mickey Willis, thank you. And these movies support these things. Support what is good, right, and true. And if you find something we've said that is against God, come to us and talk one to one, just like we did with Robert Malone. All I did was drive all the way there, all the way across the country. Thank you, Rich and Johanna. Said, who's your daddy? I wanted to know who his mentor was, who was his teacher, because it was clear it wasn't Jesus Christ. And it didn't take me very long to figure out, oh, it's David Baltimore. Oh, he's the one that brought us HIV. And the book is Lenny Horowitz, and we played that in our book club too. The book is called Emerging Viruses. Why did we have HIV? Why did we have XMRV in 1934? Why were the first cases of autism and long COVID, or you might call it CFS, brain fog? Why was that? Hollywood. Ooh, and that's where Hollywood. Oh, Hollywood. And you know why they're doing those commercials? They know. They got to kill them as quickly as they can. Kill the Williams sisters. We're not going to let the black people have all the money. Just saying.
Right.
Or leave them alone, Kamala. Why are you injecting your football players, your athletes? That's slave labor. Why do you run them in combines, dragging tires to see how strong they are? I remember that in slavery. Don't you? Show their wares. And yet now you're forcing them to be poisoned so you can kill them? Or so that they kill without thinking, your military? So that they kill because you can't have emotion. So interesting everything.
It is. And, I just, I think it's important for people to, just like you always say, to quit getting injected, to start eating, non-GMO foods, things that we should be having our own gardens, having our own farms. It's the exact opposite. It's like, do the opposite of what they tell you to do.
And you will live well.
Yes.
It's very easy. It's not complicated. If it's on the TV, don't do it.
Right.
And I mean, even if they call it balance of nature, because that's a capsule full of glyphosate, folks.
Right.
And you got to prove to me it's not with a functional paper with every batch. And that's what Cardio Miracle does. I'm good. You got to hit the pathways. It's not the ingredients. Those are just freeze-dried plants. You got to take the glyphosate, the heavy metals. Our plants don't grow anything because we don't have cannabinoids and terpenes in the soil. Our fibers don't make strong rope. We're going back to clothing that's not poison and flame retardant. That would be hemp. And you don't take hemp because that makes rope. That drives fibrosis. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it.
Right. And just quit believing all of the lies. That's why, we didn't even get into monkeypox at all, but I just thought, just really quick that
we could go there.
Yeah,
because
let's go there.
it's not monkeypox.
Right. Right.
Remember 2 years ago? Because that would be little m. It's a capital M, isn't it? What
Right.
does that tell you? It's an XMRV. It's a retrovirus. Ah, it's like HIV/AIDS. Oh, because we manufactured SARS-CoV-2 in the Vero monkey cell line. It's on our web. It's on our web right in front. It's the Moore paper, 2004 Journal of Virology. You see the collaboration of Harvard, New York, Berlin, and China. Oh, 2004. They've been injecting SARS-CoV-2 in every human being, which is HIV, XMRV, and they had to aerosolize it because SARS-CoV-1 didn't do anything. They tried it in 2004 when they did SARS-CoV-1, and they saw the people would get the respiratory disease. Go watch Pandemic Indoctrination. Don't call it Mpox, folks. No, call it XMRV pox, disease X. Oh, no, 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 that's COVID. And you injected it. And it's synthetic, it's manufactured pox. It's
Right.
not a pox from any animal you ever saw. And those
No.
lesions don't look like it either. I've
Right.
got monkeypox from 3 years ago, which we cured in vaccine court, meaning my testimony told the main doctor, see, if we'd have left vaccine court and the 1986, the act alone, it was bastardized by every level of health and human services, including, Maryland longtime senator, listen to Pandemic Indoctrination. Everybody watch that tonight. You'll
Yeah.
see what I'm saying. So it is Mpox, and that's why they're not dumb. They say monkey because, of course, the Vero monkey viruses are in the shots too. So
Right.
everybody's got those. Everybody now knows what SV40 is. And all you really have to do is go to our website and get our book club. You can get it all the way back to February, to before any of these sermons I've talked about are one word. And all I do is play chapters of people's books because I want you to hear it. I don't
Yeah.
want you to be doing other things. Turn off your lights, get on X, sign up, go in there, and it's 6 o'clock. So 9 o'clock on the East side, turn off all the lights, and just listen. Even if it's on your TV screen, I don't want your eyes open. I want you just to hear it. And then the next day you'll see it because we post all of the data on the Odom platform, ODM. So if you buy it, you get every one. Even though we only put on the platform 8 weeks of these 3-hour things, we're replaying things now, but we upload every one of them, including the transcript. So and it's free to you, therealdrjudy.com. There is an Mpox. It's manufactured. So you better not ever take another shot or pill,
Right.
except the ones we tell you. Ivermectin, rapamycin, aspirin, no nattokinase. It's not a nutraceutical. No pills in any supplement form.
Right.
Powders and liquids from Global Healing. The Healing for the Ages, Brian Artis, Ed Group, the beautiful Henry Ely, and Jana Schmidt. We get Ely is water, Schmidt is bees and pollen and all things pollinating and allergies, of course. And Henry Ely is water, distill your water. Ed Group, Global Healing, urine therapy, and take the classes. Brian Artis, of course, snake venom. Gotcha. There is no FDA approved weight loss that is truly, according to the law. Go down to every pharmacy you see, take that sign off the ground and take it to your sheriff and say, this is fraud. And I'll give you the data on that website, or we'll make a sticker and you can put it up. Snake venom. Oh yeah, do you have a deficiency in snake venom? Got your venom today? Because these people are going psychotic. They're losing weight because all their cells are leaking the fluid right out of them. So it's very important not to go. No grocery store can have a pharmacy in there. And they're shooting that stuff all around, and they're
Yeah.
spraying a peel. Follow the spray that comes out in Trader Joe's or Aldi. That nice little mist. Follow the hose to the back of the room, and I guarantee you DDT and glyphosate and a
Yeah.
peel all mixed up so you can't tell what it is. So, folks, don't lean on your own understanding. Live biblically, live well, know your lineage, know who's your daddy and your mother. And yeah, there's only one human being alive who didn't have a Y chromosome, and we all know who he was,
Right.
Jesus. But everyone needed mom. Who's supposed to protect mom? Dad. You're not an orphan till you don't have a father. So we got to keep these families together. We've got to keep these church communities together. We've got to love each other. We've got to show them how easy it is to live just as well as I am, sitting in the sun, drinking a little mushroom, some healthy coffee,
Right.
and the healthy things are in the Get Healthy stores, and that's not my store. This is a great company started by a cancer patient who just didn't know which supplement to take. Dr. Tenpenny has a store. Dr. Sherwood has a store. Many of your doctors have stores. Trust the doctors that know. And if any doctor out in my earshot wants to get a store, because then you get wholesale, because you have to teach your patients. My job is to teach you. How can I expect a doctor to learn if the books aren't in the store, if the papers are censored by the cabal that's called peer-reviewed publications? Taxpayers no more pay for that. No more. Done. I'm sorry. It's against the law. You are paying for abortions. So he didn't slip. Biden didn't slip when he said Medicare's gone, because he was bankrupting Medicare with the Nebecas of the world, so that all the poor people that only have Medicare first, because Obama and Kamala took away their private insurance. Remember, this all goes back to Obamacare, because Obama decided you couldn't live past 75 years old. And when we, the people, wouldn't do it, they're still fining people in California. It's called a tax. You have to pay a tax if
Yeah.
you're uninsured motorist. It's $12,000 a year. When my tax accountant asks me, I don't file them anymore, because no, they're against the law. Then they don't come anywhere near me, because ain't nobody coming to my house again,
Right.
unless it's Jesus calling,
Yeah.
and I'll answer. Unless I Abraham Lincoln, better to be thought a fool, than open your mouth and remove all doubt. So,
Right.
but with Jesus, it's like, no, don't say it. Don't show the fear on your face. I don't even try to figure it out. Well, Judy, what do I take? I don't know. I don't take anything either. But when I get sick, I out my coverage, and I get too upset. And when I get upset, when I erupt, when I go from 0 to 100 in like a cyber truck in 4 seconds, then I know the entire planet's in trouble, because I'm homicidal. I'm not suicidal. So I had to get rid of the anger and ask God for forgiveness, because I made a vow. I made a man make a vow, and I broke a vow to God. I said, I'm not having any kids. Well, I did it for a different reason, and it doesn't have to be here. It's because I worked with AIDS, and I didn't want to see anybody ever get it. Because I
Yeah.
know what that autism, I know what Kent Heckin Lively, that beautiful man who wrote that book, I know what Brian Hooker suffers. I know what these parents whose kids are 40 years old, J.B. Hamley and other, James Grunbig, beautiful. I know that they worry to death about their kids and who's going to take care of them. So that's why the government is simply murdering them right now. And you can quote me. You never put a mask on anyone. That's blowtorch cancer. No turbo cancer. You never wear that mask unless it's a True47.com silver mask, where you get a lifelong discount of 25%. That's what you learn on our website. It's not a product. It's the products that are available that are made according to God, to the best of our ability as humans know it. So,
Yes.
and it
Oh my
starts
God.
with the mind.
Yes, it does. I think this is so good for, everybody to hear, and it's important because we need to be turning away from all of the things that we've been doing. That's the only way, Jesus will heal our land, but at the same
What
time,
does repent mean?
right. We
What
need
does
to
repent mean? 180 degrees, do the
right,
opposite.
right. Yes. And intentionally do it, right? It's like, don't make all these excuses as to why you can't do it. It's too hard. It's like, no, you're making it harder on yourself. You're literally committing suicide basically by following all of these things, all the protocols that they want us to. And so we have to like really open up our eyes, and I think allow ourselves to go, okay, I made a mistake. It's okay to do that. It's the problem is when you made the mistake and you continue down that isn't repentance. We have to do a 180-degree turn and say, I'm not going to go down that same path, and I'm going to live differently knowing what I know, as opposed to going, well, I'm just going to push that in the back burner and pretend I didn't hear it. That is negligent, and it's not where we're supposed to be. And so I'm just so thankful that you spent your time with us today. And I look forward to having you back again, because you're always such a blast. And, I just appreciate everything that you do, to bring truth to the people. It's so important.
Yeah, well, it's difficult. Remember, it's not your truth. There's only one truth.
That's
Just
right.
say it. There's only
That's
one
right.
God in heaven and all the universe, and I just want to thank all those people I named, because if Mickey Willis, when I was so angry, and Rob McCoy, when I was so upset at what I'd done to lead to my husband's murder, but Mickey said, Judy, he didn't die one day. They didn't die one day before God knew they would when He formed the universe, and that's the blessing. Carry on.
Yes. That's right. Amen. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Judy, and may you have a blessed day. And thank you all for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It brought you some insight to what's going on in the world around us. Join me next time where I bring you more truth, love, light, and all of the good things. God bless everybody.